Hello, Tom, aka Yazirian here for Star Frontiers Gamer. And today is Fanzine Friday. We have, actually, you can see it on the screen behind the shoulder there, number 15. And I'm also holding a hard copy because it was a personal fave. So let's get right to it. And this cover, I love this cover, even though this image is very, I don't know what the word is, abstract, almost impressionistic. I'm sure it's something off of DeviantArt, but the combination of the colors, it's just something about it. I've always loved this cover. Can't explain it. Let me just see here. Gary Tong from Vision Afar sketched this. Drop by and let them know. They put the link there. So that's one of the things you can do is let an artist know, hey, I saw your cover art on the Star Frontiersman. Thank you for donating to that magazine. We really appreciate it. So if you ever get the chance to do that, please do. Starting up front, we have the Frontier News. Some discussion of the formation of DWD Studios and the D100 system that was what they labeled D100 and enshrined in their frontier space. They're pumping the digitally remastered rules that they had the license at that time to produce, but that license was rescinded in 2018. And then right away we get into Archetypes. I like Archetypes, but I really love Archetypes. And so this is an article written by me, and I loved the early Archetype articles in the early Star Frontiersman. And then we really didn't get many. And I also was thinking somebody should have done this for the Zebulon's Guide races, right? And so I said, I'll take a stab at it. Now, right off the bat, you get the Osakar linguist, because obviously that is one of the defining characteristics of the Osakar, their linguistic ability to reproduce. I forget what is it the description says. They have like 2 tongues or 2 larynxes or 2 something in their mouth structure, and it enables them to make any sound. They can speak any spoken language once they learn it. So, I think one of the little one-liners I put in this article was, Polyvox, we don't need no stinking Polyvox. We are the Polyvox. So the Osakar, they are that weird plant race. They came out of Kim Eastland's personal Gamma World game that played at his personal Gamma World game. And so that's how they were developed for the Rim. They were just ported over as an intelligent plant species. I kind of like them. The concepts within the Osakar linguist are the crypto analyst, the communications officer, and the law enforcement translator. The crypto analyst is trying to break codes and solve puzzles kind of things. Law enforcement translator is fairly straightforward. So this would be the more egghead member of a team. They carry a gun, but they're not the guy who's going to be doing the SWAT team stuff, kicking in the door and shooting the place up. They're the one who are going to have the psychosocial skill and be using the persuasion and the psychosocial skill to interrogate a suspect or a witness. And then you have the classic comms officer, read Lieutenant Uhura. And if I was playing an Osakar comm officer, the character portrait would have the Osakar wearing Lieutenant Uhura's uniform, basically, from Star Trek. Just because the other thing about the Osakar being that they like to wear whatever kind of crazy clothes. So I've got a wire armature that I've put together, and I'm working towards sculpting an Osakar miniature for myself. So I might actually, on that particular miniature, sculpt in Lieutenant Hursk uniform. I think that would just be cool because, you know, it feeds into that whole Osakar thing. They like to wear weird and crazy clothes. And so the Osakar is done here. You get the development. Now, I just want to point out, again, as always, you're not limited to playing an Osakar linguist. You could be a human linguist. You know, I mean, this is written to leverage the Osakar's special ability, but anybody could be a linguist. So this is material for you, the Humma. And, and the Humma survivalist. Character concepts are the apocalyptic hermit who believes the end is near. And what was the other one here? Oh, here we are. The adrenaline, and then in parentheses I put, or is it humarenolin junkie? And so there's only two concepts for the Humma survivalist. And the Humma survivalist is like, I'm going to survive the apocalypse right along with the Crixian cockroaches, and because of my metabolism, I can eat the Crixian cockroaches. So I had a little bit of fun with doing these guys up. They like to have stashes and caches of weapons and supplies for the end. The apocalyptic hermit does particularly. The adrenaline junkie will invest in equipment, but they're out there pushing the edge, seeking the excitement. They're doing the cliff diving into water and jumping out of perfectly good airplanes with just a pair of wing. It's that kind of thing. So they were fun. And then, of course, what else would we do with the Ifschnit? But it would be the Ifschnit trader. Character concepts, there's actually four here. It's the free trader, the free merchant, the smuggler, and the tramp trader. So the free trader is the classic Capellan free merchant character. The free merchant may or may not be part of the Capellan free merchants. But then again, you never really know if a Capellan free merchant really is a Capellan free merchant because they're so well fronted. It's kind of just one of those things. And then smuggler fit in here into the Ifschnit trader and the tramp trader. This is the guy with the ship that he's just keeping together with baling wire and duct tape. So again, it's some great artwork that actually matches the Ifschnit's description in the book, which I completely endorse that. Then we found on the internet this Humma Hop Back by WebTroll. We never did find out who WebTroll was, or did we? I think I have a vague memory. Somebody contacted us after the fact, but we did find this. And we tried real hard to locate the individual and say, hey, do you mind? And in the end, we were like, this is just too good material. We'll publish it. And if the guy comes forward and says, I didn't give you permission to publish it, we'll apologize. Sometimes forgiveness is easier to obtain than permission. So this was a great article on the Humma, and it developed them a little bit more. And I really like it. Plus, it introduced 3 different Humma clans. And I thought that was interesting. And you've got this nice piece of artwork that epitomizes the 3 different clans within Humma society. So that was a great little addition. I have a vague memory, man, that maybe WebTroll did contact us and was like, hey, that was my article. And he was not offended. I have a vague memory of that, but I could be mistaken. It was a while ago. Next, we have Core 4 Part 2, and this is, again, Brian Conway, and it's a re-examination of the Yazirians and the Vrusk. So, it's taking those 2 pages in the Alpha Dawn where it explains the species, and it just does it a little bit more fleshed out, a little more in depth, and so I like that. Then we hit the traditional Dralasite debate. It's an Alex Stone story by Eric Windsor. He had a thing doing these Alex Stone reporting stories. Were always cool. So this is a nice little piece of fiction. And then we get a 100 sci-fi oriented names generator here, a D100 table. And and the table actually does D100 twice. So you're getting 200 names, 200 sci-fi names. And I think the thought here was, as you roll on one for the first name, you roll on the other for a last name. Although some of these last names look like first names to me. So do with it as you will. But again, I love a D100 table, and some of these are kind of interesting sounding names that you could roll with. Then we had Psych Profiles. This is a Bill Logan article, and this was an attempt to redress the fact that you don't have alignments in Star Frontiers. But it's not alignments. It's a psych profile. This is the profile of how the character thinks and acts. And so it was kind of a little bit to function like an alignment, but not be like, I'm lawful good, therefore I cannot let you torture prisoners, so do it while my back is turned. kind of wonkiness we got in D&D. Now, I mentioned this article, I think, in the last Fanzine Friday. This was the Implants article that I wrote and submitted it at the same time Bill Logan put his in for that massive Shadowrun-esque article that he did. Mine got bumped, which is actually a good thing, because I really think mine would have totally gotten lost in the weeds behind that massive Shadowrun thing. So the philosophy behind mine was I was not attempting to go Shadowrun. I was taking the limited number of implants that we did get in the equipment list for Star Frontiers, like the anti-shock implant of the Alphadon equipment list. And then there's a med-inject implant in the Zebulon's equipment list. So it was like those two things. And then I think there was a little piece of programming for the body comp for tuning a med-inject implant and that sort of thing. So so I started with that as the baseline, and I imagined what other implants they would organically, naturally have in the Frontier without trying to go in a Shadowrun direction. So you're not getting a Shadowrun augmentation, weird stuff, Reaper claws coming out of the back of the hand. You're not getting that in here. You're getting really simple things like a chrono tattoo. It's an implant that projects the time into the skin of your wrist. So you just, your watch can never be stolen. Your chronocomp can never be stolen. You don't wear it. You have this chrono tattoo that, and you just hit a little spot on the skin, and you can, change the time, make it disappear so it's not lighting up in your skin, and then make it appear if you want. So that was the philosophy here, was like today's technology and a little bit more advanced than that. And so at the time when I wrote this, I really looked at implants, electronic implants in the body, cochlear implants, and some of the problems that were going on. So I did not go for this really massively sci-fi, crazy augmentation type of implants. I just wanted it to be in line with that Star Frontiers ethic of it's today, it's a little bit more advanced than today's technology. And so that's what you get with this. So this might be if you're don't want the flavor of Shadowrun like you get with Bill's, this might be the article for you. So some standard ocular implants. Somebody loses, it's all fun and games till somebody loses an eye. So I incorporated some ocular implants. Oh no, I did do implanted claws in the fingertips here because that seemed reasonable to me. Oh no, and I did retractable Reaper blades. Now, I did a thing here with the retractable Reaper blades that there's always a chance of an infection. You don't really get that in a Shadowrun type of thing, but because you're using this thing and there's blood and gore and you're using it in combat, and then you retract it back inside your body. I just thought it would be reasonable that there should be a chance. But as I reread this last week at Sugarloaf, I realized that it seemed like my chance of infection was a little bit too aggressive. that was going to happen a little bit too often. I don't know. Somebody else might say not often enough, and because you gotta, you then got to have the Omni Niacin out of the med kit and medic try to cure. The other feature of this article was I was trying to stay within, when you look at technician skill, a first level technician can drive ground vehicles, ground cycles, hover vehicles, hover cycles. And as he advances, he can then get into more advanced, like air vehicles as he advances in level. So I did that with the medic skill. I required that some implants require a certain level of medic, and then more advanced implants require a higher level of medic to do the implantation. That was a little feature I wrote in there. I don't know if it's necessary, because more than likely you're not getting an implant surgically implanted in the field in the middle of an adventure. It's the kind of thing you do in between adventures at the hospital. So I don't know that little rule I wrote in of must be done by this level medic, it makes sense after, as an afterthought. It just, because to me, look, you're going to get it done at the hospital anyways, for the most part. So that's my article. I was kind of proud of it until I saw Bill Logan's, and I was like, oh my God, look how extensive, how thorough this thing is he wrote. Vehicle modifications. This is an interesting article. Who wrote it? Shadow Shack again. Yeah, he's big on the cycles and stuff. I like this because it, we had the standard ground car. That's it. One size fits all, same stats. And I like this because you're getting, in these these size variations here, like on this table right here where it says compact, minus 20 to top speed, minus 20, so you get all these, modifications to its stats, 25% savings on cost because it's smaller, less stuff to it. And then up here for all these. So it allowed for some variation. So it's a toolkit that allows you as a game master to have some variation if you care. Like if you're doing a chase scene on the highway or through Port Lauren, and you want cars to have different capabilities, then this is the toolkit for that. By and large, for the most part, in a lot of games, if you absolutely need a ground car, you're just going to grab the one right out of the rule book and use it as is. But I like this because it created more options and possibilities. So this is a good article. Then it talks about non-civilian duty. This is Larry Moore talking about like armored cars. Corporate security cars are going to be a little bit better than your standard civilian grade vehicle. I think, as I remember it, Larry and I talked about this very thing for quite a while. Then we get into Yazirian Literature, or the Art of Writing Fluff. This is written by me, and this is some examples of fluff I wrote for the game. In here, I believe... fluff is the kind of stuff that's it might have a clue in it, it might not. Sometimes it's just about flavor for the setting, and you don't want it to be long or super involved, but sometimes I create the descriptions of books. So like if the character, if the characters are sitting in a lounge in the space station and they ask, I'm looking around, I say, oh, you notice a hard copy book, which is odd because everybody has them digitally on a pad these days. But you notice a hard copy book over there left dropped underneath the chair in the waiting room, and I will write up a full description for that book. And there's some examples here because they talk about Yazirian literature. I give an example of a Yazirian poem I wrote. It's actually just Charge of the Light Brigade Yazirianized for the setting and was used in a play-by-post game by me, and I had a lot of fun with it. But then I've got some of these books here: Romance of the Renegade, The Garden of Hence, and the Yazirian Star Exodus. These are actual books in setting. And so I give a little description so you know what's in them. And there may be a clue in these books for the adventure. You know, so that's what this whole article is about. It's just tips on writing fluff, creating some of that background fluff for your game. And I give some examples of what I did, just spark your imagination. And then we get adventure generation. This is a Bill Logan article, and it's random tables with some descriptions for, you don't know what to do. Oh, geez, everybody's coming over on Monday night. I don't know what to do for an adventure. Well, he'd roll right here on this table. Like, let's say we rolled 42. All right, the location is an outpost. And scrolling down, we got all these descriptions of those locations, and then we come to determine area descriptors. So 52 here, littered with bones. It's an outpost, it's littered with bones. All right, we're getting a little more specific. Let's roll it again, and we've got 13. Cheap, breakable, and fragile. So the outpost was just a temporary kind of affair, and it's littered with bones. All right, that something's coming together in my head for that. Let's roll on the next one. Determine area primary objectives. 89, vaccination. That might not be a good one in light of what we just came through in 2021. Let's roll again. 44, sanction. And, I don't know what they meant by sanction, but my brain immediately goes to the Iger sanction with Clint Eastwood. So where do we have sanction here? Some law has been broken, some rule. All right, so you're going there to take care of something that's been done wrong. And then you would determine area primary obstacles. Let's roll again, and I've got an 84. So natural disaster. There is a natural disaster, and I would make it the natural disaster is in play, like say a volcano. So you've got ash falling all the time. You could have earthquakes, rumbling and earthquakes. You could have there's an eruption, and now actual chunks of rock are falling out of the sky. And so there's like a chance somebody could get hit by that and damaged. So that could be going on during the adventure. And of course, what's a volcanic eruption without lava? So there'll be some clue probably going to lead a little closer to the volcano, and the lava flows involved in that. And, what would be better than a combat with a lava flow, unless you're Darth Vader, because that didn't work out so well for him. But so that's, this is just a roll them quick. And, so what have we gotten through, through this whole thing? Oh, we didn't roll on final encounter table here. So 8 is a face off. Each of the players faces off against an equally powerful major NPC or group of villainous foes, probably behind everything. If we don't like that one, we could go with creature horde number 2. And I didn't randomly pick that number. That number I just grabbed because we got bones littered, and I think creature horde goes better with bones littered area and cheap broken outposts. So the creatures have stampeded through, killed everybody, bones littering everything. We find the outposts that way. There is a creature horde. They are a danger. So yeah, I kind of like that one better. And obviously there's got to be some other big bad guy in the end. So it might not be the creature horde as the big bad, but somebody more nefarious, maybe manipulating the creature horde. I don't know. So with rather short order, I now have a solid adventure idea for Monday night when the guys are coming over. The guys and good wife, because good wife will play. Did not mean to leave you out, honey. Yeah. Except her character is one of them science-y types.
Be beautiful and smart.
Well, you are beautiful and smart. That's why I married you. But no, her character is the science-y type, but strangely is always the first one to draw the laser weapon and shoot. And everybody, no, we got to talk to that NPC. I love that she's consistent in her role playing. Pull my laser, shoot. So that's that one. And that's actually pretty good. I don't normally use that kind of thing when I'm writing adventures, but like just there with a bunch of random rolls, I got a solid idea and I can actually pull that together in short order for a Monday night game. So in the news, these are fake, these are fluff. University of Zebulon archaeologist narrowly escapes death. These are like news articles. And then this is actually a real world home designed to look like a flying saucer. And it's been kind of blurred a little bit here. And so you have ancient Dralasite cryopod discover. Well, it should be past tense. We missed that was missed on the editing. And so they just found this real world photograph and just kind of, tweaked it a little bit. And it was a Dralasite cryopod. It looks like one. It's got a cool look. Those I forget what those homes are called. I think they were made in Sweden, and they look like a flying saucer. And they actually have a cool internal floor plan as well. Surprisingly well laid out for such a tiny little thing. Next, you get Boneyard Station, Richard Rose Shadow Shack. Again, I love his Boneyard Station. It is in it's orbiting Triad's moon Evergleam, and it's a salvage station. And I've considered using this a couple of times where I wanted to actually set it up and didn't run it, but I was looking to set up where the player characters had to go and obtain a digger shuttle for a mining ship. And so they had to go here, and they were authorized to use their employer's funds to bid. And so there happened to be 3 digger shuttles that were being sold off, auctioned off at Boneyard Station. And so they were going to attend the auction. There were other ships, they could get distracted with that weren't going to serve as a digger shuttle at all. But potentially could have been modified if they then bought the digger equipment from the salvage yard. Like, maybe they had a, Mach 32 obsoleted digger drill, and it would take modifications and, time and money to modify what they did buy. So I like his Boneyard Station. Comes with a nice image and various stats for ships that are currently at the salvage yard. And then we get the Hypnotic Training Center. I like this article so much, I wish I had thought of it. So this is a hypnotic, because the rules, the Alpha Dawn rules, talked about hypnotic training. And so Chris Harper actually worked up a hypnotic training center, and you get a floor plan for the hypnotic training center. You could just hand wave that this is on the space station, or that it's a business on the ground, on the planet surface. Do whatever you like with it. This is actually a pretty good floor plan, even though it's straight black and white. It's nice and clean, and I like it. So you get a description of the training area. You get some ideas, some simulations here. Next, you get this perspective map of Point True, which is on Pale in the Truane star system. And, they've superimposed some numbers here and tell you what these different areas are. My one quibble with this, Jess, is that you put Pangalactic in here when we know that Pangalactic and Streel kind of go to war all the time. And we know that this is the headquarters for Streel. So my one quibble, and it's a nitpick, is that you've put Streel, the Pangalactic Corporation, in there. However, in your favor is the fact that before the other megacorps arose, Pangalactic had its showrooms everywhere on the frontier. So it kind of fits. So maybe that's just a legacy they've hung on there, even though it's become a Streel town. So that's kind of nice. And this lets you use, even though it's not like a map you're going to slap down and move miniatures on, or the die cut counters. This lets you do some theater of the mind. You can show the map to the player characters, just kind of abstract a visit to Point True. on the planet Pale. So that's kind of handy. I really like that. It's probably one of my favorite additions to the setting by Jess Carver. So Star Law. Now this is not a remastering of the original Dragon articles. This is C.J. Williams revising a lot of that material and expanding it. So this did not have to be stripped out of this magazine during the 2018 Evil Hat trademark grab. So this is actually really a good resource. He builds from the original Starlaw articles in Dragon and does an expanded thing. I think he even talks about the branch, the penal systems branch of Starlaw that runs some of the penal colonies, some of the prisons in here, and that's certainly very logical addition to Starlaw. And so this is a great article, and I always forget to refer to it when I'm doing a Starlaw adventure, and I always just go to the Dragon magazines and I forget this is here. But this is an excellent article, and I enjoyed reading it. And as a little bit of an appendix to that Starlaw article, you get this. It's kind of a very thin review of Isaac Asimov's The Complete Adventures of Lucky Star, which is kind of quite possibly the inspiration for Starlaw and Star Frontiers. So there's that as well. Next, we get an equipment article, and I kind of like these pistols here. The Baylor, there's extra pistols, aqua breathers, bio contacts, smart flesh. There's some medical stuff here. I always like new medical equipment. I've worked on some medical adventures that have not actually play tested, but been working on them. And so I like the extra stuff. I do not like the ear slugs. And that might be legacy of being creeped out by that scene in Wrath of Khan where they put the thing in the guy's ear. But so I'm not a fan of the ear slugs as a piece of equipment. Utility gauntlets, great idea. Next, we get to Opiate of the Osakar, written by me. And so this was a favorite article. I basically wrote 3 religions that exist within the setting. And, since I went to seminary, I might have a little bit of an interest in religion. But I wrote Baylorism. So actually, we'll start with Dralasite, a fluidic philosophy. It's a philosophy that borderlines a religion. And it's a philosophy that believes the spirit of life, it's pantheistic. You would classify it as pantheistic, that the divine is in everything. And, so it's a Dralasite, it's a minority Dralasite philosophy. And, but they also, part of their whole thing is martial arts. And so the fluids, which kind of sounds like druids a little bit, that's a little bit of malice of forethought in there as well. But the fluids are into the martial arts, and they're very much like Kane in the old Kung Fu series, very philosophical and not afraid to defend themselves and protect other living beings. And so this is a fun little philosophy. So if you were thinking about having a Dralasite martial artist, you might consider checking out this and saying, my character's a fluid. They also allow other species to join. The martial arts style is adapted to the physiology of other species as much, because obviously a purely Dralasite martial arts style is not necessarily going to work for something with an internal skeleton. So, and then I also wrote in a little joke in here that the Dralasites, because they're notorious for their bad jokes. Next, we get Baylorism. This is a Yazirian religion, and it's a dead religion that was mentioned in the equivalent of the Epic of Gilgamesh or the Beowulf the Epic of Beowulf. And so I was thinking about the Epic of Beowulf, and I was also thinking about the Osakar, who they're always interested in finding some obscure religion and then just practicing that as part of their expression of their individualism. And so I was thinking that an Osakar linguist was studying the Latin equivalent of a Yazirian language, a dead language nobody speaks, few people speak, and they were looking at the equivalent of the Epic of Beowulf, and they saw the mention of the Baylorite practices, religious practices, and suddenly decided they were going to practice Baylorism. In fact, the word Baylorism hadn't even existed. It was kind of like almost coined by the Osakar just to describe these old practices, these old religious practices. And, there's been a bit of an undercurrent in Yazirian society, against the high-handedness of the family of one. So now you've got some Yazirians going, yeah, let's get back to our roots, and are starting to practice Baylorism. And so it's this resurgent religion, very small, not widely practiced. Well, widely practiced because it's practiced by a few here and a few here across interstellar distances, but not widely practiced by the population as a whole. And so this was a lot of fun. And this also involved a blood sacrifice, a offering of a blood sacrifice. So it's a very ancient practice. And, you can actually sacrifice almost any Yazirian animal as an observance of Baylorism. But I then also created the most appropriate animal was the Wyval. Wyval's partially inspired by wolves, but it's pictured here. Who did this picture? I have to look it up, but this guy's a great artist, and he envisioned these perfectly. These are a Yazirian creature. They got the Patagon skin flaps. They glide. They are pack hunters, and so they will slam. They will come gliding down and slam into prey, and then the other ones that are gliding will dump the air from their wings and come in, and they just will swarm an animal on the ground. They're very intelligent. And so I created the Wyval, but then I didn't stop there. I created the domesticated miniature Wyval because, who doesn't like an adventure pet? And this is an adventure pet with an attitude. It only really likes its owner and will pretty much bite the fingers off of anybody else that tries to reach out and pet it. So I thought that was cool. So I and now there's trade in Wyvals. The family of one tries to suppress it. And so I thought that was a cool, fun religion. I then created a Madderlean Church of Humanity centered on Kadikik and the Madderley star system, where you famously had the Free World Rebellion and they evicted the Vrusk. These people are classic racists. So this religion is created to be a foil. And I've written some stuff in there, some adventure hooks, like there was an Osakar that decided they were going to be Madderlean Church of Humanity. And this Osakar disappeared. Something happened to them, but they also, because they were an Osakar from the Rim, they also happened to be a member of the Capellan Free Merchants. So the Capellan Free Merchants is not taking that lightly. They want to get even because their policy is you screw with any Capellan Free Merchant, the rest of us come for you. And they're going to need a microscope to find the pieces when we're done. So I wrote some nice plot hooks into this that I thought would be fun, but these are your classic, they're very much a racist. They're speciesists, I guess, maybe. Humans are it, and they don't like the other species. So this is something with a lot of potential to be a foil within your setting. And, some appendices here, which are actually plot hooks. And then we get the classifieds. I love this image here. Wastralan Clan Biker Club. I believe this is one of the biker clubs from Richard Shadowshack's biker group article. And so that's interesting. There's some really interesting ads here in these classifieds. Nice setting ads. So there you have it. So there you have it. There we go. Star Frontiersman 15. One of my personal favorites, hence owning the POD. Had to have the print-on-demand copy of it, and I in part because I thought it was such a smarty pants coming up with that title, Opiate of the Osakar, which was a Karl Marx quote where he said that religion was the opiate of the masses. So I thought I was being so smarty pants when I came up with that. But you know, it was like I couldn't pat myself on the back enough over that damn article. Well, plus it was cool because you also get a creature. You get a couple of creatures in there, and you get plot hooks. And so I thought I was really cutting a fat hog with that article. But I love this particular book. Love all the content in there, not just mine, but a lot of good content in this one. And I really enjoyed working with Larry on this particular Star Frontiersman. So there you have it. Thanks for watching. Thanks to my subscribers. You guys are great. And I will see you in the frontier.